Hey, we are two Star Wars nerds, and we're back with another Star Wars Wisdom Talk. Today we are looking at Season 1, Episode 3 of the Clone Wars, and the opening title card, they use them as like these moral of the story kind of deals. Says, easy is the path to wisdom for those not blinded by ego. And
it's good.
There's quite a bit here, even when you think about what they're trying to do, almost in a sense like a fable, how they're trying to have this moral woven through the story.
To teach people something.
Yeah, and I guess even on maybe like a meta-narrative side, it's like, are they saying like, even like these stories, the Clone Wars, maybe they're just saying like, because it's an anthology show, so maybe it's like, hey, there's a story being shared, and here's the point of it being shared in the Star Wars universe even, which is just an interesting thing. But when we are getting into this, there's a lot here, and it's really easy to skip over it, because I think first when
they come on so quickly too.
It's
do. Like, boom. And it's like, wait, what did that say?
Yeah, and for me, wisdom, I haven't met anybody who's like, no, I don't want to be wise. You know, we want to make wise decisions. We want to have a life marked by wisdom. But the trap
no one's
is,
ever said I really want to be a fool.
No,
that would be great.
No, and if anything, the one who purports himself to be wise can actually become the fool.
Yep.
But a lot of times we can think that intellect equals wisdom when it doesn't. I would say, if anything, intellect can actually more so lead
to foolishness,
to ego. And I think ego, at the core of it, there's something narcissistic about it. It's thinking that you're better than you actually are. Even with the title of this episode, Shadow of Malevolence, this idea of like Anakin and Plo Koon and the clones chasing after Grievous and Dooku, the Separatists, and the Malevolence, this huge, large, looming ship trying to take out medical bays, trying to, it's just wreaking havoc.
Right.
And the foolishness would say that we could never become that. Foolishness would be like, that's clearly malevolence there, where there would have to be a humility saying like, I'm actually capable of that very thing. And I think when there's this humility that you can enter to say like, I know a lot less than I think I know.
Yes.
I don't have the full picture. I'm not the center of the universe. That, I think, is actually like a precursor to avoiding ego.
Yeah.
Like even narcissists are in Greek mythology. Like, he loved the image of his own reflection, and he would stare at it so long in water that it eventually became the very thing that ended up causing him to drown and bringing him to his death, because he was so obsessed with his...
I've never even heard of this.
Yeah, he's so obsessed with his own image. And it's like, at the core of it, I have a strong belief and conviction that everyone is made in the image of God. And usually in our circles and context, talking with people, then they'd be like, well, does that mean that God has arms and legs and a face and all of this? And, it's like outside of the incarnation, like currents, like Old Testament, like Genesis, like in the image of God, it's like there was chaos and he brought an order out of it. There's something about like our actual like internal life where like we are made in that image, and the fallenness is this like self-centered, like I'm going to make it about me, about my plans, about my desires. And that's what brings death and destruction and all of this. And so when I'm seeing, when we're looking at this before handing it over to you, like easy is the path to wisdom for those not blinded by ego. I think it's that very thing. Like if you want to live a life that's wise and that's actually making a change in the world, you don't have to be the smartest in the room. You don't have to have the most attention. And you actually have to let go of ego and realize your place. And I think even like a good definition, right, is when you see like the fear of the Lord is beginning of wisdom. And I think there's something to saying like, I will be held accountable for my actions.
Yep.
I can't just say things how I want because it made me feel good in the moment. Like you can't just wreak havoc and expect everything to just go your way, understanding that like everything is seen and everything will be accounted for. Like when I would say that would lead to a wise life, because you're like, okay, this isn't about me. I can actually let go of that. So there's my 6 a.m. soapbox on
Wisdom.
There we go.
Yeah. Well, and I think exactly what you said, the key to wisdom is humility. Because even you can want to get all this wisdom, like you talked about, thinking it's intellect, and overwhelm yourself with knowledge and reading all the books, watching all the stuff, trying to become an expert in life or in a specific area. But sometimes the more you know, like you said, is foolishness, and it's more dangerous actually, because you think you have things figured out, and the reality is none of us will really ever have anything truly figured out. Like we may have more knowledge in certain subjects and things, but like we will never fully understand anything really. And I think that's where we get caught up, is we get to a place where like, man, like I know a lot about this subject, like I know more than everyone else. And then there's ego is coming in. And especially just this last year, I just feel like I've been seeing more and more like, man, I don't know anything. Like I thought I knew a lot of stuff and I don't. And even in Revelation, when Jesus is talking to the church of Laodicea, and he's talking about what being lukewarm is, and I had my idea of what lukewarm meant. But then if you read the next verse, he's actually saying lukewarm is those who think they have no need, that they have it all figured out. And then that just really hit me. I'm like, man, like I thought lukewarm was just kind of being, what's the word? Apathetic. Is that the right word? But really it's thinking that I don't need God, or like I've figured this area out, or I can do this, and I can just go based off my experience because I've done this before. And even just seeing that with children, having a second son, like saying, oh, I've done this before with my first, like this is how you do it. And then God's just reminding me, he's like, you don't have it figured out. Every kid is different. Every situation is different. Where you may have had success in one, you can't just take that into the next season of life. Like you have to learn to still be dependent on him. And so I think that just goes so well with this, is when we think we have it figured out, and we think we have the plans, when we think we have all the ideas and the knowledge, like we're blinded. Like really we're the opposite of what we think we have, and we become arrogant and self-centered, and then we put up these boundaries to protect our image and protect ourselves, and we just get further and further separated from people, and like we just kind of isolate ourselves, even like mentally, not even always physically, but physically too, just to protect our facade of like, I've figured this out, and we don't let anyone in because we don't want those walls to be broken down and for things to come to light that, wow, we don't actually know everything. I think it's important we have that humility, and we come to a place where we're like, yeah, I don't know everything, and that's okay. Like I'm okay with that. I need to learn more today. Like there's more I can learn today that I knew yesterday about parenting, about God, about even you. Like, we've been together for like
16 years.
16 years, like almost more than half my life or whatever. It's like, even recently you just shared something like, man, I never knew that about you. Like, I think I know you, and I know you very well. But that's the beauty, is we get to continually learn more about each other. And if we think we have each other figured out, we're going to stop communicating. It's going to bring a divide, because like, man, I figured him out. But if we're on this never ending journey, like, I want to learn more about you so I can love you more, whether it's our children, it's our spouses, it's the Lord, whatever it is, we have to come to a place where we say, I don't have it figured out. I don't have all the answers. I'm going to be humble, and I'm going to ask for help. I'm going to say I don't understand it. I'm going to bring others in. I'm going to open up my walls and be vulnerable. And I'm going to be okay with where I'm actually at, and be like truly self-aware, and not think higher of myself than I truly am. Yeah, because if we're not humble and we think we're better than we are, we will be humbled. And that's not a place where anyone wants to be, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
So just I think the key to this wisdom from Star Wars is humility. And I think we do see it in Star Wars too, when not even just in this episode, but in Star Wars in general. Like, even I'm thinking of Empire Strikes Back, when Yoda tells Luke he's not ready to go, to save his friends in Cloud City, and he wasn't. I mean, yes, he did save his friends, but like, he wasn't ready to learn that truth. Yoda knew where he was, and Luke probably should have respected his wisdom and his insight and his knowledge, but instead Luke said, I know better. And I think also there's something in him that's like, man, those are my friends. I want to help them. I want to save them. So there's this like heroic and like good-hearted thing, which we should have too. But I just wonder what would have happened. Like, would he still have his hand if he would have listened to Yoda? But you see that all throughout Star Wars too, is when you think you have it all, and when you think you have all the answers. I mean, look at Anakin. You lose your legs. When you think you're better than you are, and even though Obi-Wan's like, I have the high ground, like, it doesn't matter who's better, like, you can be better than me all day long, but I'm up here, you're down here. Like, it doesn't matter your skill set. And I think sometimes we have to come to that place like, oh yeah, my skill set doesn't matter. Like, the position also matters. And Anakin eventually learned that, but he lost his legs and his arms, and as my son says, became a robot. So I think that's a lot to just spill out here at 6 a.m., but that's just what was percolating on my mind about easy is the path to wisdom for those not blinded by ego.
I think just the final thing regarding this for me, when we're thinking about, like, let's just say you said Anakin in the high ground, I think, sure, if it's like, I'm going to take out Obi-Wan from Anakin's point of view, right? There's this ego that has blinded him, this anger that has overtaken him. He can't see clearly.
Right.
But then the question is, then what? Like, you've actually kind of forgotten about Padme.
Mm-hmm.
Like, then what? Let's say he takes him out. Okay, then what? Well, then that's actually how you took this place of dominance. Now you have to maintain it.
Right.
And then this never-ending quest to be the strongest, to be the most powerful, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the scope never changes, and actually, like, it becomes more fragile because you have to. It was short-sighted, so now you're being forced to be reactionary.
Right.
And it's like the very thing that he thought would bring him the victory actually led to his downfall.
Yep.
And I think a lot of times that's how we approach life. It's like, okay, I'm going to do this right now because I need to be right. I need to be whatever, right?
Or I need to say this right now.
Even
if we are right.
maybe we're not even self-aware, but like, I need to be seen as the smart one, or I need to be seen as this one, when it could actually be like, well, you know what, like, I can delay that self-gratification so that I actually am not creating a larger mess for myself. Because a lot of times I found the wisest people, I mean, even Proverbs says it, the wisest people are the ones who don't talk. And it's like, it basically says, even if you're a fool, even if you're an idiot and you don't talk, you'll seem wise.
Yeah.
Is it saying, like, if you don't have wisdom, it's just better to just be quiet, you know? And it's because, like, the more you say, the more damage you can create for yourself, for sure. But these title quotes are fairly interesting, and, you know, there's a whole lot of them that we're still going to go through. I think we just passed doing 25 of these, so it's exciting to keep going. But let us know if you made it this far. Let us know what you think about this. Share your own wisdom. Hopefully, if you made it this far, you can not be blinded by ego as you share the wisdom, but come in humility. Share your easy path to wisdom. But with that, we are two Star Wars nerds, and may the Force be with you always.